Yeah, that is a cool shot. Um, I don't have the motors working yet. I've bought the newest release possible from the manufacturer, and they didn't have their firmware up to date for the configuration tool. So I unfortunately wasn't able to get these motors working. But here is the Sentry turret, just mounted upside down, just to show off some of the versatility here. And you know, this is going to be the most well-defended trailer park in America, airsoft trailer park. It looks really neat. It honestly looks like a little surreal to see this thing. Um, yeah, this is what you. My God, this is so cool. Oh man. Oh yeah. I mean, who doesn't need this on their front porch? Who doesn't need 30 of these on their front porch? God damn, it's beautiful. Here it is without any accessories, just give you an idea what it might look like up there. It's really pretty unobtrusive. So this is going to be really cool. Cannot wait to get this working. Thank you so much, everyone, for commenting and just making some funny comments on the last video. I have 40 comments I want to go over for this video. It probably won't be as exciting as the last. I'm just going to show you some of the important comments that you made and then point out a few answers to some of the questions that you had. So let's just take a look at this thing first. As you can see, if you're familiar with the first version, there is a metal bracket here that mounts this turret. And then you have one actuator for left-right, another actuator for up-down. They use the exact same parts, so this is an exact copy down here. Just instead of this Picatinny clamp bolting into this metal bracket, you now have this angled metal bracket bolting into the same point. So this piece could actually be replaced with a Picatinny rail. You could even replace it with something like this. So that leads into a design change I didn't really even think about until I was machining this thing. What I realized is I could actually switch to a larger bushing and a larger shaft. And you can just see the difference there. It just gives a lot more surface area on the bushing and a lot simpler shaft to machine. So, and also the bolts are longer, which is just better for bolted joints. There's a little more stretch in the metal. Bolt into the motor through this plate. And then this clamp can be put on there, or any other kind of clamp. I actually don't like the quick release clamps. I like this kind better. One, they're cheaper, and it just seems a little more secure to me. So that's why I went that way. Let's take a look at my airsoft setup for this thing. This is an airsoft toy. It has like the little colored flash thingy on there. And how this works is you can take your toy out and play with it. And then if you want to camp out overnight in your airsoft game, you can switch your rifle over to Sentry mode. And I have this taken apart just so you can see that there's absolutely like nothing interesting inside of this. It is just a door lock actuator, and the terminals go out to like an XT60, I think that is. So you just apply 12 volts and this goes chunk like that, and it shoots your airsoft gun. So, you know, you're camping out overnight playing airsoft, and now you want to... I'm gonna have to pause the video, I can't one-hand this. Okay, and I just clamped the airsoft rifle in there. And now your airsoft will be on a little turret, and you can, you know, keep watch all night while you sleep. You can take out airsoft drones, whatever you want. So this is basically just how it works. But let's say you don't want to put a rifle on it. That's just a little too much for you. I'll show you some of the other accessories you can put on here. Of course, you can put pretty much anything with a Picatinny rail on there.
This is America. Don't catch you slipping now.
Test your might.
But you might just want a little home security setup. So I printed this little bracket shaped thing. I just call it the Goober. And it basically just has 2 pick rails. This, I'll show you how this mounts on, but a super bright LED that's 12 volts and a USB camera. I have some other cameras. Let me just show you. Here's another one of my cameras. This one's actually been like shot at quite a bit. As I was figuring out how to keep shrapnel off of these things. But this is an idea of something else, just a USB camera and a housing. This one had a lens before it got shot at. And here's my biggest camera. It has a Picatinny rail with integrated USB, which is freaking awesome. It's also going to have a lens and a servo with a wiper blade on it and a rain sensor, like these infrared, they bounce it off the glass. If there's rain on the glass, the sensor changes the amount of light that's reflected and the wiper will go. So it's kind of like an automatic wiper on the thing. So these are 3 of the different cameras that you could mount on there. Where did I put my other one? And you can just imagine when this goes open source, it's just going to explode with the number of cameras you can mount because, hey, it just has to fit a Picatinny rail. So let's take a look at what this thing looks like with this little home security setup. Okay, so here it is with just a camera and a light. And you can see this thing would be really helpful, if you have a drone in the sky, even if it's not, someone... Well, I guess it would be malicious. Even if it's just some, like, creeper from a park looking in your backyard or something, you could shine this up, track their drone, and basically blind their drone's camera, which is very useful. Even if it's a human operator, blinding that camera will wipe out any kind of visual odometry or visual flight control system. So, just straight up white light is a pretty awesome way to defeat GPS denied drones, because that's really where things are going, is people just assume GPS is jammed, so they're using visual odometry to fly these drones around. Visual odometry just means flying off of landmarks, but like computer level, where the drone will be like sensing the corners of, maybe this monitor, and it'll use that instead of its own gyroscope to maintain level. And it works so good and so fast that it's just really amazing what these little drones can do. So I'll just show you a couple other ways you could mount this home security setup. Okay, so here is the Sentry turret mounted on my back porch. And you can see a lot of the kinematics still work out really nicely. We get this 360 view. Of course, you can't see up, but also things from up top can't see that you have this. Okay, I really did appreciate all the feedback, all the comments. I tried to summarize them into like 41 questions because there were just so many. I'm going to go through and give you the quick response, and then we'll do some video content for the rest of our time here. Talking about some of these questions in details. Can it make grilled cheese? I think so. It has 2 12-volt accessory ports. Each can do 100 watts. I found some 12-volt, 150-watt frying pans. So you could probably plug in a little 12-volt grill and like put a spatula on the thing, and it could maybe like go down and like get under the grilled cheese and come up and like... it can't flip, but maybe you could work out some tricks. And you could watch the grilled cheese with a thermal camera. So I love this question. It's actually my favorite question of all of these. Can you put the AR upright? No, because it interferes with the range of motion and you have less it's harder to mount it. The main mounting point is the Picatinny. It makes the whole system a lot bigger, so that's why it's sideways. It's also sideways because I want to use this sort of side load magazine reloader thing in the future. Grenades, belt fed grenades. I have a cannon. I'll try that out. Flip the AR upside down, left, right. Yes, I'm going to do that, and I'm going to show you real quick how easy that would be for you to change. So this is the updated bracket after all your guys' comments, and we're going to go through and just order one. I'm not actually going to buy it, but let's do 50-52 aluminum. It's designed to be 4.7 millimeters thick. So there you go. You could buy one of these for 36 bucks or 1,000 of them for $11. So let's just buy one of them. And now it's going to ask us if we want to bend this. And I'm going to say 90. And there, it bent it. So if you wanted your airsoft on the left side, you could do that. If you wanted it on the other side, you could click down. So I'm really not sure how this is all going to work out. I can actually give you guys access to send, cut, send in my actual files. I'm not quite sure I want to do that yet until the whole thing is tested. I'm still really thinking through the manufacturing of this thing. But let's get back to the questions. So yeah, AR left, right. I really liked all the comments on the brass and all that stuff. So yeah, great comments. Custom upper, custom lower. Yeah, there's tons of room for improvement, but I really just want it to be using stock parts as much as possible. Cool comment about Gatling guns and the difficulty of clearing jams with my setup. Very good point. Wish I had a Gatling gun. Rain hat, yeah, definitely. We'll be building like little custom accessories to put on these things. Mass balancing, yeah, you could clip weights to the Picatinny rail to balance the mass, and that's important so your motors aren't always working as hard. Make it green, okay. Ammo counter, I've already done that in a previous video. Thermals, I'm working on it. Picatinny quick disconnect. Yeah, I have some. I just don't like them as much as the screw type. They don't seem to hold as tight. There's a little more slop. LiDAR, yeah, that'd be a cool USB powered accessory. They're expensive and I'll work on it later. Solar powder, absolutely. Working on like an ammo can battery with a solar charger in it. DeWalt battery, I don't really want to go with a specific brand is my only holdup. Maybe there could be an adapter. Decentralized cameras and turrets. Yeah, absolutely. My intent would be you would have one powerful computer somewhere on your place, on your airsoft base, and then all the turrets would have a cheap little computer on them, but that powerful computer could do a lot of the high-level AI and targeting, and your lower-level turrets would just kind of allow you to remotely control and do some basic image detection. Somebody mentioned lens filters and aerochromes. I'll look into it. It sounds awesome. I have no idea what it is, but I love hearing about stuff like that. I did design some different armor attachment points. Let me see if I can bring those up. Okay, I didn't have any CAD drawn up, so I just quickly sketched this. In the previous version, I had these pins on top with these slots coming through. In the new version, I designed this, well, I did a 30-second sketch up here. But there will be this pink L-shaped bracket that goes through the armor and then down into a pin on the main bracket. So this makes the main bracket simpler. It makes less weight and clutter and things sticking off for people who don't want armor. And these little pink things are going to get chewed up as this armor gets shot. They may even get chewed up to the point where the armor falls off, but you've taken a lot of damage at that point. So these would just be like a replaceable item, just like the armor. But it really cleans up the design, so I love that somebody made that comment about the pins on the armor. It kind of got me thinking. Armor pins on backside, that was a great comment. Move content to Pepperbox. And a lot of people asked if I had like Discord and X and stuff. Dude, I don't know much about social media or how to like do all that securely, privately. I'm literally thinking about starting a Minecraft server where we could just have like Q&A sessions and design review sessions, things like that. I don't know. I don't know what's going on in the world anymore. That I'm building Sentry turrets and trying to organize Minecraft. Dude, I don't know what's going on. You should connect this thing to Alexa. No thanks. I worked at Amazon for quite a while. Those people should not. They should not.
3D printed parts, absolutely, yes. A lot of these parts probably could be 3D printed and hold up for a certain amount of time. You know, for instance, even these bushings and some of these load-bearing pieces, with the right filaments, they might hold up for a whole magazine worth of shots. And maybe, you know, if you got the price of this turret down, oh sorry, what a mess. If you get the price of this turret down to $300-400 by using 3D printed parts, maybe you stop worrying about how well it holds up in the long run. It becomes more of a disposable item. Where were we? 3D printed parts, yes. Even people are even 3D printing like these gearboxes with cheaper motors. So these $300 motors might be able to come down in price. Place the computer on the ground, no. A lot of this design is based around minimizing moving electrical cables, and this stupid thing is like the bane of existence. This is called a slip ring. It allows electrical joints to move. They don't hold up well for rotation or for high impact situations. So this design is entirely based around eliminating slip rings. And by doing that, you have a bunch of extra cables running places. So you want to minimize the length and the number of joints that those cables have to rotate through. Sorry, that's a bad visual. I'll do a whole video on slip rings if anybody wants to hear more about them. Recoil damper on the upper pick rail. It's possible. I've built some. They aren't very useful. EMPs, no. Look at my other turret I build. It's a totally like aluminum enclosed unit. It weighs like 50 pounds, but it's built to survive an EMP. MOA, this thing is about 0.6. The bigger turret is much better, it's about 0.14 MOA. Grip is a hard point. It doesn't really work for this setup. Focal point, I'm gonna put in a video here for you to see how I do that.
Bam.
Yeah, go for it. Yes, we'll be doing that. Cheaper metal plates. You know, one of my goals is distributed manufacturing, so if I can find someone who makes plates in their house, I would love to give them design files and let them sell on my website for free. Like, I don't want to, this is my hobby. I'm not here to make money. I'm here to, you know, get my country back.
That's not what our boys, that's not what they died for. I just,
I wanna take you
just not it.
A drone version, yeah, maybe you could skeletonize this thing. Maybe put smaller servos, a smaller airsoft on it. Sure, you could try direct cooling. I'm going to be adding metal overbraid for flexible conduit over the wires, so I'm sure this will play out in some way. Do a mid-range model. Yeah, check out some of my other videos. I'll put a link. For reloading, a lot of comments about drum mags and things like that. What I want to do is build like a little arm that like reloads this thing. Like the turret sinks down into a pit, something comes out and like pops the used mag out, puts a new one in. Well, long-term goal. We talked about ejection port direction, weatherproofing as much as possible. I've spent most of my career designing weatherproof electronics, so I'll show you quickly in a little bit here what I'm going to do for that. Pre-order, once I test this thing, I'm going to put some parts and directions on my website. Galvanic corrosion, I'm mostly using aluminum and stainless, which are pretty good. Not the best, but it's the best I know how. And electronics. So I'll show you a little bit about what I'm working on now. With regards to weatherproofing, this is going to be one of the toughest aspects of this whole build because we're trying to do this at a low cost. So this is kind of an overview of what's going to be in the electronics module. I'll just go through them one at a time. This thing will be able to take 24 to 48 volt power. You're going to need about 400 watts for full power. These motors are each about 100 watts nominal. And then if you want two 12 volt accessories, that'd be 100 watts each. The minimum power is going to be much lower than that, but that would be sort of a moving around and doing things sort of power draw. So you'll bring 48 volt power in, you'll go through a 48 to 12 volt converter, a 12 to 5 volt converter, and then you'll have a bunch of E-fuses controlling your power distribution. So if you get shorts on any of these lines, your fuses would trip. Then you're going to have your main compute module, and you're going to have your 2 USB ports for camera accessories, and you'll have communications back to a base station. So in terms of weatherproofing, there's going to be multiple layers. This is an example of some of my own custom designed electronics. I designed the PCBs and everything, and then I put them in these enclosures with like an LED indicator, and they're potted solid. So this thing you can pretty much dunk in water, and as long as the terminals don't short out, it'll work. So the capacitor is left open because when these blow, they vent upwards, so you don't want to contain that capacitor inside of potting. Bad things will happen. So the idea is you'd open this up and you'd see a bunch of little modules like this. This is an example of one of my earlier E-fuses. It's going to get a little smaller, but you'll be able to, install this into your circuit board, tighten down 4 little screws, and replace different elements within here. Then there will be one main PCB that these all bolt into. That PCB will just be like a glorified wiring harness. But I love PCBs. They're very tough. They don't short out. They don't rub as much as wiring harnesses do. They're much cheaper. So you can imagine there will be 1, 2, 3, 4 custom PCBs in this. And then these little things are representing wire ingress points, or the way wires get into the box. And what I'm going to do is, maybe it's easier to show here, there will be little O-rings on this. So this little thing will have O-rings put on it, some 10 millimeter O-rings, and then you will put some epoxy around this cable. So essentially your cable, like for your camera, will look like this. You'll have to have your electronics enclosure open. You'll put this in there, and then you'll bolt that into place with 4 screws, and that will seal your electronics box. And this might seem kind of hacky, but I've actually spent quite a bit of time in my life working on sealing enclosures, and I worked probably 10 years at a large heavy equipment manufacturing company designing electronics. We use things like this. These are really bulky, and this enclosure would grow quite a bit in size if I tried to use something like that. Another thing people use are like cable glands, and these work great, except that you have to take the connector off of the end of your cable to get it to work. So I decided to go this really simple thing that's 3D printed. You'll put some potting in there. It'll be a little extra manual work, but I do believe this is the best bet for sealing low-cost electronics. Now you could use, let me find an example, some military connectors. You could use some high-grade military connectors like these things. And I've spent a good deal of my career designing products with these. This is why I'm not using them. This is an extreme case, but these things can cost $30 to $300 a piece, depending on the pins, the metals, what mil spec it meets. And I frankly don't think they're going to do a much better job than these little plug things that I've designed. So these are a little less easy to use. Well, actually, they're a lot less easy to use, but they're going to cost pennies instead of thousands of dollars. I mean, just using those big connectors would probably add close to $500 to a project like this, so it completely blows the budget.